In the early stages of my prospecting career, I spent my first few summers working a remote river in Tasmania for gold. I had some awesome finds in that time, but in my mind things had begun to slow down, so I ventured off into other gold fields. After returning several years later to have another go and to dig a little bit deeper, a giant crevice changed what I thought was possible on old ground. I found 20 grams of gold nuggets literally piled up on top of each other.
The whole bottom of that is loaded with nuggets. Woo!
As you could imagine, there was no hesitation in coming back in, and on this trip I'm in disbelief again when I hit a record-breaking gold nugget.
My goodness. Woo!
The largest nugget I've ever found on this river. I'll be sharing this epic overnight experience with you guys once again in the Tasmanian wilderness. Sun's just starting to come up over these steep valleys. Got the river wrapping around where I'm standing here on a bend, and I've chosen this spot just here for my camp. Nice flat ground, mossy flat ground. I've hiked a few k's into where I'm at today, and I've brought a heck of a lot of gear with me. We're carrying in crowbar, pickaxe, pan, new shovel. I've also got my SDC packed away in there. So I'm carrying a fair bit more weight than I usually do. Tipping up around probably the 30 kilo mark. The wetsuit there on the bottom. So yeah, it was a bit of a slog getting in here. I've just cooled down a bit. My plan for today is to focus on the sniping. We've got really low water levels, and it'll give me an opportunity to jump into some of those pools that I can't ordinarily work on this river. For those that watched my last adventure on this river, I managed to find a crevice that had been opened up from the recent floods, and I got onto 20 grams of insane nuggets. It was like literally nuggets just sitting on top of each other in a very small distance of the crevice. One of the more memorable trips I think I've had here, and actually the largest amount of gold that I've had on this river in 6 years of prospecting. So it was a real eye-opener for me. Yeah, pretty excited to have found that. I'm hoping that today we can get onto something similar. So I'm going to leave my main pack here at camp, carry my day pack and just the tools that I need for today, and we'll get ourselves upstream and get started on this adventure. I might do a bit of relic hunting too. I forgot to mention that there's some really nice old workings on this river, so yeah, if I'm not having much luck on the gold and I've got a bit extra time, I might swing the coil over some old workings, see if we can find some relics or something like that, maybe even a bit of gold in some of the trenches. Extra camera, most important, those snuffers that we've got to fill. Extra backpack. I'll give you a quick rundown on what's going in this day pack. So the SDC, a couple of snuffers. Probably only need the one snuffer for now. Gloves, 3 of my crevicing hooks. I use 2 little sharp ones that I sharpen up for those tight little hairline cracks, and then this one kind of gets used for the deeper ones or wherever I'm sort of prying out rocks. Pinpointer, mask and snorkel. So I'll need that to get in my suit. Drink bottle, catch that in a minute. Crowbar, with electrical tape. I always sort of carry that as part of a first aid, bad cuts and things like that. I do have a first aid kit as well. And this yellow one, this yellow bag has extra batteries for the SDC, first aid, snake bite kit. This one's my extra batteries for cameras, which I'll leave here at camp because I'll have a few which I keep in a quick access bag, which is this little red one. Righto. And then just a bit of food. I think that's about it. I'll leave my clothes here to dry, so I'll be jumping in the wetty. passing around the gorge so I can get up above. So last time I was here, that 20 grams of gold pretty much came from the crevice down in under all that gravel. I've worked it from right to left, so a lot of it's been piled back up. One thing I didn't do was check up in those larger boil holes. There might be some gold dropped off in there, so I might start out with that. If we don't have any luck there, we'll have a look around, see if we can spot out a few cracks somewhere. It was good to be back underwater, and it's certainly my happy place. The first two boil holes were just loose gravels. If you're going to find gold in a boil hole, generally it has to have tight pack rocks. It is important to check, however, that these boil holes don't have little cracks or quartz stringers or fault lines in the base. Even though the material in the boil hole itself may be loose, the gold gets caught in those cracks beneath. So far we haven't had any luck, but it always does take time to uncover gold, so I'm not deterred. This is just like any other day. I've just come across my first couple of pieces of gold. One of them was quite a good piece, and it was in a boil hole. Just a couple of nice bits to kick off my day. And one little freckle in a small crack. It's been a bit of a slow start for me, but a couple of little bits. Haven't been able to open up any ground that's quite significant, so just gonna keep at it. Yeah, I'm not really sure where I should be looking at the moment. Righto, I just jumped back in the same pool that I was working before, and there was a boil hole that I only half did because it was quite time consuming, but I thought before I leave this spot I'll clean it right out, and it's incredible what was in it. Full of little gold pickers. Have a look. It was just a tricky spot to work because I had to peel all the material back on the bedrock behind. Down in there, and then the material processed on the outer edge of the boil hole. And I was surprised by some of the pieces that had come out of this hole. It was kind of tricky trying to separate the gold from the loose gravel. And pretty time consuming because there were quite a few pieces amongst it. Righto, we've had a bit of success. Quite a few little pickers in a boil hole just down in the centre there. All of this bedrock's quite smooth, but when you get a few tight pack rocks that haven't been worked by anyone else, yeah, there's gold in them. So that was good. there's quite a bit of this bedrock pushing upstream, so I might just zigzag my way through it all and double check all the boil holes or anywhere where there's tight packed rocks. I totally nearly missed that one. I half worked it and kind of gave up on it because it was a bit of a tricky little eddy, and it also had a big rock sitting up on top of it that was jamming all the other rocks underneath. But I should have known, because that's a good catchment point. So we'll keep on with it. Hopefully we can get a bit more. The same scenario again. Another giant rock sitting over a boil hole. Eventually I got that rock out and got in underneath, but unfortunately it had already been done.
False alarm, that one had been done.
The next spot just absolutely did my head in. A huge boil hole which I thought was going to be absolute golden. But this sucker turned out to be at least 6 foot deep, if not more. And after what seemed like a couple of hours, I just could not reach the bottom of it.
Just using the shovel now to speed up the process because there's so much material and it's much deeper than I originally thought. Just slowly sort of padding with the shovel, double checking that I haven't hit that pay layer in the base.
But no, I had not hit the pay layer in the base, and it was time to move on.
Oh man, this thing just keeps dropping down and down. I don't know if I'm wasting my time or not. What if there's nothing in it? There's a giant rock down at the bottom of it that I've got to try and get out as well. It's like from my waist to my head, deep.
So I eventually gave up on this giant boil hole, which is pretty rare for me to do, but I had limited time and the bottom of the boil hole could still have been another 4 foot away. It turned out to be a pretty good choice, because my next spot to work was an absolute ripper.
Finally, it's probably about 2 or 3 o'clock now, and I've been going most of the day because of that boil hole. I wasted a lot of time on it. But then I seen this fault line, this crevice running on this side of the river over here on the right. And if you look over on the other side, there's kind of a fault line running there on the left as well. So I tried to figure out whether it joined up, and it ran right through, and sure enough it does. And it took a bit of time to get some big rocks moved. You can see I've just stacked a couple of huge rocks here on the side, and I started to get a couple of little bits of gold, and then I saw something that looks pretty awesome. I don't know how big it is, I've only uncovered part of it, but let's find out. It's another stonker. Oh, that's a good piece of gold. And I saw another one sitting underneath. Hang on.
Alright, we'd wasted some time on that boil hole, but we were about to now make up for it. One juicy big stonker in the bag. Let's find some more.
There's going to be a lot of gold in this. It drops down into tight packed rocks underneath, and those nuggets were sitting on top, and I can see other bits of gold there.
It was good to have some solid bits of gold secured, especially after all the time spent on that large boil hole that eventuated to nothing. But in order to get the tally up, we'd need to keep going. Another nice chunk in the same location. At this point, I hadn't even spotted a small little crack in the bedrock on the left-hand side, and it was holding some really good gold as well. It always amazes me where nice little nuggets can get themselves stuck.
So it seemed like the upper part of the crevice had been worked, but right down in the base is where I got those nuggets. So just crazy that they'd been left and someone hadn't followed right through with it. Hopefully it continues across the left hand side of the river and we find a few more. It's looking like the other half of the crevice has been cleaned out already. So the other half's already been done, but it's so strange that they left that end of it. It just doesn't make sense. If they did down in here, it was just as hard to do down in here as what it was over there. Righto, I've just been working across this crevice just to double check that it had been finished off properly. I found someone's like putty scraper, which I don't know, they've had some weird tools for this.
The paint scraper seemed like a strange tool to use, but I guess if that's all you had for the small cracks, why not?
So that was down in the base of the crevice. Someone had worked it quite some time ago.
And although this section of the crevice had been done, there were still a few little pieces to be found. I think this rock I've found here is a big chunk of galena. I spent a bit more time on this big crevice. Even though it was worked, there were still quite a few little bits to be picked up. And with the price of gold right now, we won't be leaving anything behind. Another good run on the gold, and I've now got to make it back to camp before it gets dark. Most of the gold from today come from down in that end of this crevice, or fault line running. In this particular river, that's what you want to be looking for. A lot of this bedrock's quite smooth, and when you find those fault lines, they tend to have softer material down in the base, and they're a little bit decomposed, and that's where the gold wants to drop out. See the sun on the tops of the trees up there just setting. Nice, just poking down in here, but it never does. These valleys are very, very deep. That's why there's gold, I guess. It's awesome after a big day to get that tent set up. Know that there's a good amount of gold in the snuffer and your day's work is almost done. It'll be down to the river to see what we got and then potentially chill out round the fire and have some good food before bed. Oh yeah, there's the usual recharging of batteries as well to make sure that these films are made possible. Please, if you have enjoyed it so far, make sure you give it a like for me, drop some comments below and share it with others that might enjoy it as well. I know you guys know someone that will watch this sort of film. Might go down to the river and take a look at what we got today. And I'll come back and have dinner. That nugget was a ripper. think it's bigger than I thought actually. A nice big chunk. Pretty good day. Would have been pretty sort of standard if I hadn't have got that big one, but I reckon that's a good 5 or 6, that one, maybe 7. Very fat. I don't know, it could go 10. Doesn't feel super heavy, so I reckon it'll be about 7. There's these ones, maybe go a gram. 3 or 4 of them. Got a good day all around. It's good to see that the river's still giving a bit. A bit unsure what to do tomorrow because I had kind of planned to go relic hunting and do a bit of detecting with the SDC and maybe pick up some gold with that as well. But the sniping's just working so well, and yeah, there's really good gold to be found sniping. It's not cold at all tonight, so I won't bother with the fire. I can get away with the t-shirt. Beautiful day in paradise. Well, I suppose I should eat some dinner. Oh, Frankfurt's again for dinner tonight. Oh, that's a lot. I just knocked the whole thing over, lost all my water, so I had to start again. Somehow I forgot the stand for the jet boil. Ah well. Wish I brought some sauce. Bit plain. Good morning everyone. Another beautiful day. Still pretty dark. The days are so much shorter this time of year. We're going into winter. It's nearly 8 o'clock, believe it or not. And yeah, still really dark down here. You just see the white gravels wrapping around this corner. It looks quite cool from up here. Bit of fog up above, misty skies above the rainforest, but that'll clear fairly soon. We'll have ourselves a sunny day hopefully, and we'll get to work. So I was thinking this morning I'll probably use the SDC just while the sun's coming up a bit more, and I'll do a little bit of detecting around this site here. There's a bit of history down at the bottom of the inside bend here where they've been trenching around the corner. On the inside bend they've been trying to chase the gold. So we'll see if there's any old relics down there. It is a pretty popular spot, and I know other people would have detected in the past, but it'd be cool if we could pick up a few things. So we'll see how we go with that. We'll give it a half hour or so, and then we'll We'll jump in the wetsuit and head back up to where we were finding the gold yesterday. I've mostly got my gear packed up, so we'll get this SDC fired up and see how we go down around these trenches. Even up here at camp, there's little trenches up here. I'm running up through there. Yeah, it's quite possible they would have camped up on this very same ridge that I'm on. This is a nice flat clearing. It almost looks like it's been dug out here on the edge, and I was just scanning over, and over here, nice solid target. Out. She's out. So it's fairly big. I need to grab my pinpointer. There it is. Something round. Looks like it might be a non-ferrous. Kind of looks like the eye out of a tarp or something, so it might not be going back old timer days. This is hard to tell, but it looks like one of the rings out of the end of those tarps that you see. Another one down here. It's out. She's out. That's another one, same thing. Old wire. Really? I'm down on bedrock here. It's that wire again. Oh man, I thought, could that be a nugget? Like it was a little crack as well. That's the way it goes. Righto, we'll cover that one in. It's an old bolt of some sort. There's the gold, where's the relics? If I couldn't find gold here, I was determined to get at least 1 or 2 relics that I could take home. That's an old pocket knife, or an old knife of some sort. Hard to make it out, but it's got little eyelets, and yeah, that's what that, I reckon that is. That's an old knife. It's too far gone. Got a couple of little rivets, one there and one there. I continued searching around my original campsite because the workings down below seem like they've been worked pretty hard by other detectorists. Another little bit of metal. And then bingo, a nice signal behind a tree right behind my campsite. Something in behind this tree here. Big target. How's that? Oh, what do we got here? Thought it was another pickaxe head there for a minute. It's a huge big spike of some sort. Maybe just like a chisel for busting into the bedrock. It's
Yep, a rock chisel, commonly used by the old boys in
that's really
Tasmania.
cool. I reckon they use that for chiseling the bedrock. Hammer and little mallet and a sharp chisel with a point to knock into those crevices. Old timers crevicing tool. That's the best find today. We'll keep at it. I had a feeling that would be something a bit more exciting because it was sitting at the base of the tree, behind the tree. Yeah, if they're anything like me, they'd put their good tools and things hidden away. Just sat it behind the tree. That's really cool. Got it. Just a little nail. Righto, well I've given it a pretty good go. I've actually gone for a couple of hours now. I got quite into that. Quite enjoyed it. So I might get back into the sniping now, see if we can chase down a bit more gold. I'll throw the wetsuit on and we'll head back upstream to where we were working yesterday on those nuggets. Big thanks again to Kirk from Secret Creek Prospecting over in the US. I'm absolutely loving these boots, mate. They've been real good, eh? Kirk's one of my Patreons from the US, and he quite often sends me boots and snuffers and stickers and gear for my prospecting. He's a top bloke, so thanks again. It's because of people like you, mate, that this dream stays alive for me, so really appreciate it. Right, I've arrived up the top of the river where I want to be. I just noticed this fault line here. I did start working it last time I was here, but I didn't persist with it. There's this big rock here. I want to try and get that out of the way and see if we can find anything in under there.
It was back on the shovel to see what today would bring.
Alright, well the first spot was just a fizzle, so unfortunately it looked pretty good underneath, but I just couldn't get that boulder out of the way. I might head upstream a little bit and just have a look up there. I come to this spot here and I noticed there was this fault line, little crevice running up the bank, and I've got the shovel out, dug real deep through all the gravels just down in here to try and reach where it joins up, and we've got our first few pieces of gold down in the bottom. Nothing massive yet, but I've only just started opening it up.
Not massive, but it was a decent sized little picker, and where thick pieces of gold are found, there's generally more as well. It was a nice fault line running across the side of the river, and it was just a matter of getting that rock moved once again. Beautiful pieces of Tasmanian gold were back on the menu. And now to get rid of that big rock slowing down our progress. Another nice little bit of shiny. And there are a few more good bits, but then there was a cooling off period, and eventually it was time to head back to camp. Okay, first things first, we've got 3 little nuggets that I'm giving away to some of my Patreon members. So the 3 winners for the month of August are Alex Schaffel, Yolande Gower, and Brendan Baker. Also this month I'm giving away 3 t-shirts from my merch store, so my pick a tier members go into the draw each month, and these go to Nick Kemp, Brian Bunch and Rick Robinson. Thanks guys, and I appreciate the support from all my Patreon members. You guys are amazing, and you make these films possible. And now to take a closer look at all the gold from this trip. I've been totally blown away by this spot. The size of the gold is crazy. This was the big one for this trip, and out on the ground I thought maybe around 7 grams. The bigger pieces in the hand for some scale. And for the weight of some of those, we've got 0.22, 0.29, 0.37, 0.33. This one went just under 1 gram. And for our big stonker, 6.79, just short of that 7 gram estimate. And for our total, we've got 10 grams of gold, a crazy day out in the bush. At today's gold values within Australia, it comes to around 1,600 Australian dollars. If you enjoyed today's video, but you missed last week's, you should seriously check that one out as well.
No way, there's 2 down in there. I didn't even see the second one. The whole bottom of that is loaded with nuggets. Nuggets piled up on top of each other.
The sun on my back was incredible, and I was out to get the job done.
Must be the ultimate trap right here above this waterfall. Course bit broke off the edge.